Hi, Snowman. I'm glad that we're together again at the fourth session of the ICE Personal Development Program. I confess to you that every time I am excited. Although I have a lot of experience working with larger or smaller groups. However, ICE Personal Development Program, it's a very big challenge, even for me. I want to thank you for being here every time, for being thirsty of knowledge. And in this way, you also give me the opportunity to do my mission. As I promised, at the end of today's session, I will answer some of your most burning questions about ICE Network. Since today we have a lot of topics and Q&A at the end, we will not longer do the recapitulation that we used to do at the beginning of each session. I'm looking on the chat and I see many friends from Nigeria, from West Africa, from Morocco, from Europe, from Germany. Welcome everybody. Welcome Alex. Welcome Peter from Nigeria. Welcome Andrew. Welcome from Turkey, Oslem. Hi, Daniel, Jerry. Hi, everybody. I'm very glad that we are here together. Yes, I love to see you again. All of you. Peter, thanks, Peter. Jelly, Roy from Indonesia. A lot of friends. Well, I wish you all welcome. And in this moment, we'll start with first topic of this session. The first topic of this session, it's about emotions. Well, about emotions. Emotions are affective experiences that arise in response to events we face through the life. The purpose of emotions is to support us in adapting to the environment. Emotions help us make decisions, mobilize, and act in various crisis situations, and also emotions help us understand those with whom we relate. From a biological point of view, the appearance of emotion is closely related to the stimulation of areas in the nervous system, namely the brain and the central nervous system. It was concluded that the information first reaches the thalamus, and then it is transmitted simultaneously to the amygdala, the cerebral cortex. The amygdala is the brain structure that deals with emotion regulation. When information about the emotion activating events it's processed by the amygdala, it's processing very fast, very rapid, leading to a rapid response, leading to the rapid response to the event we're facing to. For example, if we are talking about a situation, let's say walking down the street and hear a very loud sound, will most likely start and immediately analyze whether the perceived noise could be a threatening factor for us. The information processed by the cerebral cortex is slower, which gives us time to evaluate the emotion given by the event. Emotions can be adaptive, let's say functional, or maladaptive. That means dysfunctional. Emotions are not good or bad, positive or negative. As I have already told you, I like to work with analogies and metaphora. Both help us to understand more easily notions and situations that we otherwise assimilate with more difficulty. For example, can we say that pain is bad or good? I challenge you to answer me on the chat. Is the pain good or bad? Answer me. Let me ask you a little bit differently. Uh, is pain constructive or destructive? Don't be shy. Once again, there is no wrong answers. Is pain constructive or destructive? It is correct to say the pain is constructive or destructive. Yes, Alexander, Isham told that both of them are available. Yes, yes. It's very correct. You are right. It's correct. It is very good, uh, or rather useful, to have this pain when we step wrongly. If this pain did not exist, we would break our ankle at the first step. You know, pain defines the physiological and functional limits of the physical body. I repeat, pain is what draws the line between normal functioning and malfunctioning of the physical body. Pain is what informs us that something is wrong with our physical body. If a tooth hurts, it's clear that there is at least one cavity or something. I have to pay attention to him. If my leg hurts while doing certain movements, let's say that I have a faulty foot, then the pain it's a signal that a physiological limit has been reached in the functioning of the respective organ. So the pain in this case is constructive. What would happen if there was no pain? Let's say that if we ate something that was not digested well, if there was no pain or unpleasant sensation in the stomach, we will not know that we need to take measures to do something to bring the body back to the normality. What happens with the pain that is very, very intense and long term? Well, if we have already taken measures and are treating ourselves to give us comfort, then we take painkillers. In this case, the pain has done its job in the sense that I and my physician, let's say my doctor, I go to have enough knowledge to consider that the continuation of the pain does not help me. In fact, in this specific case, the pain is dysfunctional. It does not help me to recover and heal myself by generating a state of discomfort. You know, uh, do you know very well that when something hurts, your mental and emotional state is also affected. In this case, we cannot say that the pain is bad, but that it's only dysfunctional. Yes, dear friends, pain is not bad. Pain is not also good. It is functional or dysfunctional. Or can you call it adaptive or non adaptive? Let's go back to the emotions. Well, functional emotions are those that help us, inform us about events in the external and internal environment, clarify and guide us in understanding personal needs and motivations. Although, although some emotions are considered to be negative, in certain situations they can be helpful. For example, fear is the emotion that warn us that the situation we're in is dangerous. And anger is the emotion that signals us that our limits are being violated. Dysfunctional emotions are those that block our correct perception of the environment, that have a negative effect on our behavior, that prompt us to make wrong decisions, and that prevent us from being able to detect our needs correctly. We turn to the previous analogy. If sensory signals, for example, those transmitted by the five sense organs, tell us something about the physical body, then don't emotions do the same thing? Emotions are signals of the subconscious, which, with the help of neural mechanism formed by thalamus, the amygdala, and the cerebral cortex, are perceived and made aware to a greater or lesser extent. The courage depends on us. Emotions, as we said earlier, warn us that we are reaching certain limits of skills and or psycho-emotional functionality. Well, what happens? We neglect the appearance of physical discomfort in one of our organs. At the first, it seems that nothing is happening. Over time, the discomfort will turn into pain. If you ignore this initial pain, well, strong, merciless pains appear. It is a sign that the organ has started to degrade so much and extend that it endangers the functioning of the entire body. You know, um, this it's also the case with psycho-emotional problems. At the beginning, we have some easy emotional perceptions, vague feelings, or a little bit emotional discomfort, easy frustrations, or state of dissatisfaction. If we ignore them, well, uh, as in the case of the physical body and its pains, get worse and turn into true psychoaffective disorders. That is why it's very important to have a holistic approach, including mental, emotional, and psychological health in our concerns. How important is to do correctly identify of our emotions? Well, correctly identifying our emotions and those close to us bring us a number of important benefits. Correctly identifying emotions give us messages about our needs. For example, you wake up in the morning with a nervousness getting ready to go to work. This state can convey to you the fact that your job is one in which your limits are violated, where perhaps you are overworked and with which in reality you are not satisfied. Emotions help us relate, understand, and even help those around us. We can't we can't read people's thoughts, but we can infer person's emotions without them saying anything by interpreting facial expression and our own emotion perceptions. Thus, we can notice when a person is sad and offer support him, or we can notice when the person next to us is nervous and needs space. Will not correctly perceive the emotional state of others until we have the exercise of correctly identifying our own emotions. Emotional experiences give us information about the environment in which we live. If you are in danger, if the environment is pleasant or not, if our activities give us satisfaction or not. Well, from this moment, we'll start a very, very interesting topic, managing emotions. Today, I entered very little into the realm of emotions, this fascinating field. However, I hope that now it is clear to you why it is so important to be aware of our own emotions, to begin to know the subtle mechanisms that generate them, to be able to decipher them, and those gain what is called emotional intelligence. Well, emotion management is the action or set of actions by which we're aware of something and control how we respond to emotional triggers. Managing emotions help us to respond in a healthy way to stimuli in the environment, to events in this environment, events that can trigger various emotions. It must be said from the beginning that the person or event responsible for the emotion triggered inside me is just a trigger. Something from my psycho-emotional content reacted to the stimulus produced by a person or an event. The same stimulus applied to three other people's trigger different emotional reactions. Why does this happen? If the stimulus was identical, couldn't the emotional reaction be identical? Well, no. The emotional reaction is different for each individual subject. Again, the emotional reaction is different for each individual subject. Perhaps in some the same emotion is identified but manifested and perceived different intensities, which can lead to different perceptions of the same event, and obviously leads to different decisions that the subject takes. Let's go to a very concrete example. Let's say we have three subjects, all having investments in crypto assets with identical portfolios. That is, they all invested the same amount in the same crypto asset. If the price of one of these assets starts to fall on the market, let's say, for an example, I don't know, ETH, I don't know, one asset. This currency start to decrease on the first day, let's say 7 to 8% decrease, and the second day by another 10%. I wonder what our three subjects are doing. Well, they will have different decisions because they have different emotional experience. One of them, let's say subject A, when he see that this asset after 2 days has decreased by almost 20%, he could have a reaction of fear, especially if he is newer on this market, and it is possible to take you decide in a hurry to sell, and he have a soon dumping all the coins. This fear of losing everything and the lack of knowledge, bubbled by an intense emotional experience from his past, leads to this decision to sell. You know? Clear until here? Okay. One moment, please. I have a little bit problem, but solvable, nothing bad, only a little bit problem, but it's already solved. Well, if you will ask subject A, what made him take this decision, he doesn't really know. He will tell you that he's selling because the value of the asset mentioned has decreased. He is not too aware that his fear was the one that was of a nature to determine a certain behavior, decision on which he did not lean with the intelligence and the state of balance. This is the most common case encountered, who do not even realize their emotions, but that emotion determines their decision and actions. It is one of the most undesirable situations. The decision of many people, like our subject A, will cause a sharper decrease in the value of the asset we are talking about. Well, another subject B. Seeing that our asset had 2 days of decline, consecutive decline, yes, he also feels fear, but at the somewhat lower intensity, because he did not have a big loss accompanied by emotional state intensity. And as a consequence, his fear manifests itself with a lower intensity. It's just like an emotional warning transmitted by the subconscious so that our subject take action or at least pays attention to what is happening. What will subject B will do? Considering that he is also not used to knowing and being aware of his own emotions, he does not realize that in addition to that fear, which is not very intense, there is also a state of insecurity, a fear of making decisions, a failure to make decisions stemming from a problem in the relations with he had with his parents. This childhood trauma is of a nature to influence his decision regarding investment in the crypto market. Have you ever thought that this actually happens? Well, subject B is the type of person who is unable to make decision and hesitates, always asks for advice from one or other, is insecure, and when something goes wrong, something else is fault. He will do the same this time also. When he realized that the asset is declining, he will start making phone calls, asking for the opinion of others before documenting himself, before he himself has his own opinion, resulting from a correct evaluation, from combining information from the past with the current information. Well, if he meets a person whom he values and gives credit to, and that person will also have a strong and very persuasive attitude, well, subject B will take that person's decision. Again, this is not the best approach. If subject B has been concerned with personal development in a holistic approach, if he had known that the emotion he feels comes from childhood trauma, and that the best thing for him is to document himself, form his own opinion, and then to hold discussion with others, to exchange opinions with others, not to take other people's opinions without chewing them. Maybe he would have made the best decision for him. The third subject, let's say subject C, it's a person who has been concerned with his development for some time. When the stimulus appears in the environment, that is the event of the decrease in the value of an asset in which he has invested, as the other two, the first thing he does after learning the news is to obtain a state of emotional balance through a simple technique, conscious breathing. Do you remember from the last session? This lasts less than 1 minute, but it brings our subject that state of balance from which he can witness his own emotions. Well, our man finds that the emotion he has is very weak in intensity and can be characterized as fear. More than that, subject C finds that the emotion he feels is the fear of failure, which is based on the fear of not to be rejected. Because in the psychological mechanism um, uh, of this emotion. Oh, 1 minute, please. 1 minute, because I have a little problem again. Sorry for that. Okay. 1 minute. Okay. Okay. I solved the problem. Well, yes, it was a little problem with a technical problem here. It's solved, already solved. Okay. Uh, well, about the subject C. Well, our subject, our man, finds that the emotion he has is very weak in intensity and can be characterized as fear. More than that, subject C finds that the emotion he feels in the fear is a fear of failure, which is based on the fear to not be rejected. Well, he worked on all this with the psychological counselor. He visited from time to time. The fact that he understood very quickly what emotion he was experiencing. On the other hand, the fact that he has the habit of documenting himself and formulating his own point of view leads him to act correctly. The documenting himself, he found that his emotional state from the beginning is not longer the same. And now he has enough information to make the decision not to sell this moment, but wait, because the project in questions is very serious project with multiple utilities, and that the code was a very high chance of recovering in a few days, and even surpassing the code of 2 or 3 days ago. Well, maybe you have wondered what personal development program has to do with the crypto world. You may still be wondering why ICE Network puts so much emphasis on this combination of technology and personal development. Well, please believe me that all those who have reached the top of the pyramid know these things very well and are concerned with this holistic approach. We want to bring all this knowledge and give it for free to you, the ICE network community, to the snowmen, to the people. It is almost certain that only part of all those who are part of the ICE network community will participate. They will have an extra chance compared to the others. Regarding the management of emotions, today we only took a simple flavor. There will be many sessions in which we will address this topic. Well, turn a failure into a success. Many times we find that we have made wrong decisions or that did not lead to the expected results. I think this happens to many of us. It happened to me many times to make mistake and have many failures. Somewhere many years ago, about I don't know, 25 years ago, I started doing Aikido, which is more of an art and only than a sport. My sensei often told me, you don't have to be afraid of falls. You have to take care of two aspects. Well, okay. Take care of two aspects. You have to know how to fall to avoid injury, and then you have to take care to get up in an elegant and fast manner. It's very important, get into the fighting position again. I learned a lot from him. A wonderful man. So much truth is in these exhortations. When you have found that you are heading for failure, you must already start making what we call damage control and the contingency plan. These two are able to ensure a landing that does not destabilize us very much. We will talk about the two in the other session of our program because they are very, very important. Well, what is failure? We all experience it, but only some people know how to learn from it to be more successful in the future. It is natural to try to avoid things that could end in failure. Failure can be an embarrassing, painful experience. But what is that exactly? It's a failure. Well, failure is defined as a lack of success or inability to meet an expectation or achieve a goal. Again, failure is defined as a lack of success or inability to meet an expectation or achieve a goal. The problem is that we can read too much into failure. Too often, we tie it to our sense of self-worth, self-esteem, and self-acceptance. The expectation we fail to meet is often our own or one we've created in our heads. Most of us don't set out to fail at anything. And we especially don't want to be labeled as a failure. But perhaps this is a mistake. Failure can be useful. We can learn from it, gain new insight, and do better next time. The right kind of failure give us new information and teach us something that bring us closer to our goals. Some life by the motto: if you are not failing, you are not taking big enough risk. I repeat, if you are not failing, you are not taking big enough risks. In other words, if everything goes exactly as planned and you feel very comfortable, you probably aren't stretching. And if you don't stretch, you don't develop. I propose to watch a short video together now.
Welcome to a journey like no other, where we transform failure into success. Behind every success story, there's a tale of struggle, persistence, and countless failures. Each failed attempt, every hurdle overcome, each setback they faced, none of them defined these pioneers. Rather, these failures became the lessons that steered them toward their ultimate success. Like a seed transforming into a blossoming flower, it is through constant trials and tribulations, through periods of hardship and growth, that we learn and evolve. So let your failures be your greatest teachers. Learn from them, adapt, and you will find yourself growing stronger and becoming more resilient. The journey to success is not about avoiding failure, but about embracing it, learning from it, and using it as a stepping stone. Each and every one of us has the potential to achieve greatness. Every person who has ever achieved success has also encountered countless failures. Remember, when you face failure, you are in good company. So don't let your failures define you. Instead, let them guide you, let them teach you. Learn from your failures and embrace the path to success. From failure to success, it's a journey of learning.
Well, the fear of failure, it's one of the biggest self-saboteurs on the road to success. This, depending on its intensity, but has the power to inhibit all your qualities, to diminish your ability to make decisions, to affect your ability to objectively analyze situation and people. It all depends on how we relate to a failure. Fear of failure is not one the basic emotion. The fear of failure can have behind it the fear of not being good, the fear of not being fired, and as a consequence, as being without money, a situation that can lead to suffering. Sometimes the fear of failure can actually hide the fear of rejection. Because if I am a guy who has a lot of failures, I'm afraid that those around me will reject me and I will be alone. This is not very clearly established pattern of this emotion because it manifests itself differently depending on the emotional content of each one. The individuals who live in the life mark of history, the true innovators, go beyond conventional thinking and see failure as nothing more than a stepping stone to success. Well, consider Thomas Edison as a prime example. It took an amazing 1,000 trials to create a working light bulb. When asked about his feelings about 1,000 failures, he famously remarked, I haven't experienced 1,000 failures. Rather, we encountered 1,000 steps on the way to inventing the light bulb. This mindset serves as the critical factor that differentiates his performance from underachievement. And cultivating it requires a high level of emotional intelligence. The actions you take in the face of failure are critical to your ability to recover from it and have huge implication for how others view you and your mistakes. There are 5 actions to take when you fail and will allow you to succeed in the far future and allow others to see your positively despite your failure. Well, give the bad news yourself. you are made a mistake, and don't cross your fingers and hope no one notices, because someone will. It's inevitable. When someone else points our failure, that failure turns into two failures. If you stay quiet, people will wonder why you didn't say anything and may attribute this to either cowardice and ignorance. You have to emotional, you have the emotional intelligence to speak up. Offer an explanation, but don't make excuses. Owning up to your mistake can actually improve your image. It shows trust, responsibility, and integrity. Just make sure you stick to the facts. I lost my account. Let's take an example. I lost my account because I missed the deadline. It's a reason. I lost my account because my dog was sick all weekend and that made me miss the deadline. It's an excuse. Have a plan to fix things. Admitting a mistake is one thing, but you can't stop there. It's what you do next that counts and is the real test. Instead of sitting there waiting for someone else to clean up your mess, offer your own solutions. It's even better if you can tell your boss or anyone else the specific steps you've already taken to get things back on track. Have a plan to fix things. In addition to having a plan to fix things, you should also have a plan for how you will avoid making the same mistake in the future. This is the best way to assure people that good things will come of our failure. Well, mount the horse again. It is very important. This is a mindset that drags you down and puts you uh, in a very, very important advantage. Take enough time to absorb the lessons of your failure. And as soon as you've done that, get back on the field and try again. Waiting only prolongs the bad feelings and increase the chances that you will lose your courage. Your attitude when faced with failure is just as important as the actions you take. Using failure to your advantage requires resilience and mental strength, both but characteristic of emotional intelligence. Failure, it's a product of your perspective. What one person considers as a crushing defeat, another sees a minor setback. The beauty is that you can change the way you see failure so that you can use it to improve yourself. Do you learn from a failure? It's a very important question. What do you learn from failure? Well, failure hurts. Failure hurts. Yes. One moment, please. Yes. Now, short answer, a lot more than you think. Well, so what do you learn from failure? Many, many, many things. Resilience. We learn resilience. It's hard. It's hard, but not to learn how to build resilience after failure, especially if you're determined to overcome failure. Resilience is an important life skill. This skill helps you to develop yourself. And when you build and learn resilience, it helps in other ways too. Resilience can help you build a growth mindset. It can help you adopt the right behaviors to overcome change. And it can help you build grit, tenacity, and motivation. Humbleness. Well, my friends, our egos are sensitive. They can grow and evolve into their own beasts. And most of the time, guilty dose of failure is good for our ego. It keeps us humble. Failure can teach us how to embody important characteristics such as humility in leadership. Yeah, in the leadership. Flexibility. Flexibility. Even the best laid plans are disrupted. And that goes for failures too. You may have a set of goal that you realized you overestimated the scope of. You learn from the first failure that you need to adjust your goal. Or maybe you can still reach your goal. You just have to adjust your approach. This is where flexibility comes in. I often think of the phrase, you can't do the same thing over and over and expect different results. Failures teach us flexibility, adaptability, and how to overcome obstacles. It teaches us to use change to our advantage. It keeps us agile and help us adopt the growth mindset. Innovation and creativity. Like flexibility, innovation and creativity can present themselves as lessons from failure. One of my favorite teachers used to congratulate us for completing a bad first draft. He would say, be okay with a bad first draft. It's going to get better and better third, fourth, fifth draft. And myself usually tell my students that there is no wrong answer. There is no failure. Only things that are not well understood or viewed from a different perspective or stages on the way to creating skill and accumulating knowledge. Motivation. Yeah, motivation. I'm one of those people that when someone tells me I can do something, it makes me that much more determined to prove them wrong. Motivation, it's a valuable and important lesson from failure. Many times, our failures are motivational. For example, let's say you are practicing your presentation skills. You've done several presentation and public speaking opportunities, and you make mistakes along the way. But by the 10th pitch, you finally nail it. Seeing progress along the way, it's a great motivator. Failure can fuel our motivation and help us achieve our goals. Well. Project management, setting up the objectives. I was saying earlier that failure is the inability to fulfill an expectation or to fulfill an objective. Well, both are within our reach to set them realistically, so that we get a healthy balance between setting a very ambitious goal that is very unlikely to be met and a goal that avoids all possible risk and therefore does not bring progress, does not result in the step forward. Notice what this limit is. It is the border between taking some risk and avoiding them. Well, any objective, when set, must contribute or solve a problem. Again, any objective, when set, must contribute to or solve a problem. Well, it is how easy and easily we switch to project management. In fact, all of these are connected each other. We return to objective and the concrete way in which we establish these objectives. The first thing we need to do is to start with the problem analysis. Remember, any objective, when set, must contribute to or solve a problem. Again, on a blank sheet, we start to add the various problems that we find or are found by the team over time. Let's give a concrete example. We have a company that has a product that has a software product that is aimed at consumers. We find that sales are below expectations. A survey was conducted among buyers, and among these were potential buyers. And it was found that the most frequent problem raised by them was that is quite difficult to understand all the features of the software product. So that potential customers do not covered to become buyers. And those who have already purchased the product do not use all the features because they do not know how to use them. The analysis was done on the company's website, especially in the product description section. And analysis was also made of the company's social media channels and the technical documentation accompanying the software product. The following problems were found. The website does not provide a sufficiently detailed descriptions of products features. The website does not have a description of how to concretely use the various features. The website does not have an attractive design. The structure, the site is very difficult and not intuitive. Another problem, accounts on social media platform, let's say Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and others, have very few followers. The social media accounts do not have relevant content, and anyway, it is very little. The documentation in the PDF format with which the product is delivered does not have relevant information on how to use the product's features. Starting from these problems, I challenge you to find and propose me objective for this project of our exercise. I remind you that the purpose of the project is to improve the sales of the software product. So, the first thing, we write down all these problems on the sheet of paper. Then we take them in turn to see how we can make them positive, to find their solutions. Notice that the first four issues refer to the website. The next two refer to the social media platforms. And the last point refers to the PDF document that accompanies the product. So, what could be the objective of this project? Well, it's very, very simple. We can propose the following objective. Objective one, creating a new website. This goal covers solving the first four problems we listed. Objective two, generation of video productions to explain how each feature works. This objective directly responds to an identified problem, namely that the company's social media accounts do not have relevant content. Objective three, development and implementation of a media plan for social platforms and websites. As you know, it takes time and regular posting of relevant content to get followers on social media. In order to achieve this, it's necessary to develop a media plan, which is an approach aimed at least 3-4 months of efforts and daily actions, post and interactions. This media plan is developed based on the marketing concept. Well, fourth objective, review of the technical and operating documentation that accompanies the product and that will also be included in the website. Well, this is an example about how to set up a very, very correct objectives. Again, an objective must say solve a problem. Well, because I promised to answer some of your questions, and because there were two very important topics today, namely emotions and emotion management as the first meeting of these topics, we conclude the project management section here. So let's move on the question of the community. Well, I will take a look on the chat right now. Okay. Well, about KYC, Well, okay. How many of you have asked a question about the added value of ICE currency? What exactly gives the coin its added value? Well, first of all, the added value is given by the multiple utilities that we are preparing during this period. At the beginning of October, we will release the first version of the white paper, which will mention all the utilities that are preparing, being in development right now, as well as those that are only in concept stage. You should know that the mainnet application it's already being worked on, which will include a custodial wallet and many other features. It's not much longer, and you will have an extensive picture of the ICE network ecosystem. What I can tell you is that there are applications in the works that each of you use daily. They have a very wide utility. All in a decentralized environment, in an economical ecosystem where all users who switch to the mainnet benefit from an incentive, stimulation, and reward system. Behind any currency are two important things: a solid economy, which ICE Network is preparing, and secondly, trust. If there is no economy behind the currency, that currency will be very unstable, like a leaf in the wind. On the other hand, if that currency has been it a wide range of applications, services, if there is an economic system through which those who provide various resources, servers, computing power, providing various services, content, all these are rewarded for their contribution, then that the currency will gain added value. ICE network is based on the four basic principles. One of them is trust. This trust is in the ICE network DNA. The entire ICE community is based on micro communities formed on trust. If a user invites his friends, they become snowmen in their turn because they trust the one who invited them. This is how trust is strengthened at the level of the community. Core team of ICE is very transparent. Everything we do is visible, starting with the code that has been on GitHub since the first days of this project. Another added value of the ICE is the community. You, the snowman, you are our esteemed partners. You are the ones who can add value to ICE. Educated, well-informed snowmen who have acquired skills and knowledge are a value of themselves. This is what we want, and this is what we will achieve. That's exactly why we launch this ICE personal development program. Well, I'm taking a look on the chat. Okay, so accumulate is going to be accessible for the exchange. Yes, will be accessible in the phase 2 in October 2024. Another question that has been asked countless times, and here on the chat too, on the website and in emails and on social media platform, is the one that refers to the total supply of ICE coin. The total supply of ICE coin is influenced by various factors, such as the number of registered users, number of active miners, uh, some events like halving, bonuses, slashing. As a result, it's currently not possible to determine the exact total supply until phase 1 is completed. Unlike other projects in ICE network, if you are not actively participating, you may experience a reduction in your coin balance due to the slashing mechanism. This unique feature make it challenging to predict the total supply of ICE coins after phase 1, as it heavily relies on the activity level of users. On the other hand, we will soon introduce KYC first step to eliminate those serious violations of the rules regarding the use of bots and multiple accounts. KYC procedures also have an influence on total supply of ICE. Therefore, until phase 1 is completed, it's very difficult or almost impossible to estimate the ICE total supply. And if we touch on the subject of KYC, well, another question and concern of yours refers to the KYC procedures. Let's take it one at a time. KYC procedures involve 2 steps. The first step will be implemented soon. With the help of face recognition technology, each account must have a picture, a photo of a unique person, which cannot be found assigned to another account. Moreover, that image of the person will have to be found in the national ID or in the passport requested in the second step of KYC procedures. Before entering the mainnet, you must complete the second step of the KYC procedure. If the image does not correspond to the one in the document presented, the account will not pass the KYC procedure, and as a consequence, the account will be frozen and the coins will not enter to the mainnet. More than that, all those in his network who benefit from the additional bonus of simultaneous mining with that user will not be able to transfer those coins corresponding to those unfairly collected bonus. Well, normal, legit users who follow ICE network rules have nothing to fear from the KYC procedures. This first stage will be very simple. As the user tries to tap to mine, the system will ask him to go through the facial recognition procedure. This procedure is not complicated, it's very simple. Using the front camera, the user will frame his figure in the frame displayed in the application, and then he will be asked to express some emotion to prove that he's a human subject. Our system will perform the necessary checks, and if there is no other account with the same image, it is considered legit. It should be noted that if there are attempts to upload another image after the first authentication, it is considered an attempt fraud, and the account will be frozen. I think it is a reason for joy for all honest users, because in this way, the ICE community will eliminate bots and fraudulent users, which in the time, if they were left, would bring enormous disadvantages to the network and decrease the added value of ICE. Well, uh, let's make a recap of this session very, very, very fast. First of all, we talk about emotions. The session began with discussing emotions and affective experience. It was explained how emotions are biologically related to the nervous system, involving the thalamus, amygdala, and the cerebral cortex. After that, we talk about functional versus dysfunctional emotions. The fourth, the third item was importance, emotion management. Sorry, emotion management. The next one was action after failure. Action after failure. The session presented 5 actions to take when facing failure. It's about announcing the mistake, explain without making one moment, please, because I have the same problem as the previous one. Solvable problem. Well, we talk about what do you learn from the failure, and then setting objective on the project management. And the last, our last subject was the community questions and answer from us. Well, was a very interesting session. Thank you very much for your presence, for your attention in the involvement. Well, see you on the next station. May you be blessed with light, inner peace, and wisdom. Thank you very much, all of you. See you next.